Hello again, YouTube. Lovell Hawes, prior enlisted Marine, military history buff, and overall somebody who just does a lot of research. Before I get started, I have to apologize for my enforced absence. I've had to take several days several weeks even, to take care of my health. There has been an MS diagnosis involved, and I've actually undergone treatment for some of it. It has been getting better. So, okay. So that being said, I'm going to be trying to get started back on my videos as I have been. And if you're still watching this, I appreciate your support. Um, when it comes down to this one's going to be quite simple. It's going to be, why is it a defend the police Republican can still be outraged at the Mar-a-Lago raid and not be a hypocrite? Simple word, it's called nuance. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. I actually really appreciate the local police officers very, very much when it comes to my hometown of Buena Vista, Lexington, Rockbridge County, and even the Glasgow police officers, even many, many of the state troopers. I appreciate the living daylights out of all of them. So much so that while Class 3 body armor is good for protecting my police officers, if I could afford it, I'd buy them all Class 4 body armor a little bit better. Now, that being said, it is all based on the circumstances. I don't appreciate all the state troopers I've met. There's one of them that I will only refer to him as his nickname, as to not out him. He is known as the Angry Russian. He has actually been more than once sent to Henrico by his sergeant, and that's where they send the troubled children to, so that way the brass can keep an eye on them. Him, on the other hand, I do not appreciate as much as, say, some of the officers here in town, like Sheriff Hamilton, or, it's like where we've got Zach Blevins, who's one of our state troopers. I appreciate him very, very much. It's like, so officers like those gentlemen, I appreciate them. I do not appreciate ones that get a little big-headed and exploit their power, which the Angry Russian has been known to do. And I certainly don't appreciate it when any law enforcement agency goes on a fishing expedition. A little something that any law enforcement officer will start looking like a bobblehead that we could do in this number. When it comes to a search warrant, it is very, very fine, very specific. If they go to any judge, and that goes from anything from the Justice of the Peace all the way up to any of the state or federal judges, for to sign on a warrant, the affidavit actually specifically says what they are looking for. So if they conduct a search warrant on your house and they're looking for an illicit substance, like, say, heroin, they're specifically going to be saying they're looking for heroin and heroin-related products in your household. So that's what the warrant is specifically going to say. So if they have, even if there's another illicit substance in there, like, say, PCP or LSD, it has to be another search warrant has to be issued in order for them to even be able to use it as evidence. They can't bag it and tag it until they have that other warrant. So they have to go back to the judge and go, Your Honor, we found this while we were looking for the heroin, but we need another search warrant for it. So they have to have another affidavit that says, hey, this was found during the search warrant for da-da-da-da-da, and go back and get another search warrant. So a search warrant that, from what I understand, has already said all the classified documents over this specific 4-year span, that is what is quintessentially called a fishing expedition. And if any of the local police officers or state officers had done that, there would be a judge that would be collecting a few badges. It's like the judge would definitely have their badges for this. They'd be on unpaid administrative leave pending termination. So this is way outside of what they should be doing. So, with that being said, the only place where they wouldn't need a search warrant is a vehicle. And I actually checked, courtesy of W&L's library from years and years ago, that there was actually a Supreme Court case that says that probable cause is all that's necessary. They might still follow up with a warrant anyway, because if the vehicle's not going anywhere. But considering the vehicle may go across county line to county line and invalidate the warrant, the Supreme Court actually ruled that probable cause is all that is necessary to search a vehicle. So they don't need a warrant for that one. They only need probable cause to believe that they need to conduct the search. And that was simply because, like I said, the vehicle could move and invalidate the warrant, because it specifically says an address. So if it says a specific location, and since the vehicle is obviously mobile and can move across a county line or across the city in a matter of minutes, from the time it takes for the warrant to be issued to the time it's executed, the warrant can actually argue to be no longer valid. And this was actually a ruling that came out of Prohibition, where a moonshiner was searched and his moonshine was discovered, and the officers did not have a warrant. And it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court understood the argument that, hey, the vehicle can invalidate the warrant very quickly, so they argued you don't need a warrant. The officers will sometimes go for it anyway. So, it is all a matter of the circumstances. And even officers who have quote-unquote probable cause for conducting a search, one of my family members, for the sake of her privacy, I'm not going to say anything about it. One day she was going to work. As far as I know, she doesn't even know where to find any of these illicit substances, but one day she was on her way to work, she got stopped. The officer said that he could smell the illicit substances coming from her vehicle, and even took the time to to search the vehicle, brought the dog in. Nothing was found inside of the vehicle, and it made her very, very late for work. I know she was very annoyed about that. I was annoyed too. That's another reason why I looked into it, is because I wanted to see if there was any legal repercussions that could be brought up towards the officers. Turns out in this case, no. It was very annoying to me, very annoying to her. So, that being said, it would be it's like, that's one of those cases where I did not appreciate, in that case, local officers very, very much. So, when it comes down to it, the nuance is within the circumstances. So I can appreciate almost all of my local officers. It's like I recently had a legal dispute that was a he said, she said, and they correctly called it, because there was no evidence that said one way or another, and I even thanked them very kindly for their time. And because of the MS issues that I had to have them help me get my driver's license out of my wallet and put it back in, because my hands aren't working so well. So I was very appreciative of that. And I even said this is part of the reason why, if I could, I'd afford to buy you guys better body armor. Because I do appreciate the officers who are straight, whose moral compasses do point north. So, that is why your Republican can defend the police, but at the same time still be rather upset at the FBI. I know I am, because a fishing expedition, no matter what law enforcement agency is, needs to be called out as such. So, and that's why when it comes to when the officer does use excessive force, I don't have a problem with them being called out on it. I just want to make sure that it is indeed excessive force. I like the investigation to come forth, the the actual facts of the case to come out. And so I prefer to hear the facts. That's part of the reason why, when it comes to Ferguson, Missouri, I do not have that big of an issue with how the officer conducted himself, because the one person who was actually not dismissed as hearsay, as in I heard it from so-and-so, that's hearsay. The court's not going to hear that. The one person who was actually there who said that it was the hands up, don't shoot thing, it turned out the guy was an accomplice, and he actually went to jail for perjury, meaning he was lying under oath. He actually committed a crime to try and perpetuate what was effectively not true. Every other person who was actually there said that it supported more of the officer's statement, that the guy attempted to assault the police officer, and then attempted to flee, and then turned and tried to attack the officer while the officer was defending himself. And that was what the facts of the case actually showed out, including the forensic evidence showing that the first shots were fired from inside the officer's police car, including gunshot residue being on Michael Brown himself. So the officer could not... the weapon had to have been fired in extreme close range of both the officer and Michael Brown. And at that particular point, it supports the idea that Michael Brown was struggling for the officer's weapon, which is what the officer said happened with the first shots, where it was fired inside of his car because he was trying not to get shot by the officer was trying not to get shot by his own weapon. And I know that's probably going to upset quite a few people about that one, but that's why I like for the facts of the case to come out first. And I'm going to apologize if that upsets anybody at this point. But I do have other videos that I want to get done today, so I'm going to go ahead and wish everybody having a good day. And those of you who know me, I'm not very much opposed to stepping on a few people's toes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one up, and I'm going to go ahead and record another one. I'll be talking to you guys later on some other things that I believe you should be aware of. And I'll have a good day now.